Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. We're quilting with scraps today, so if you want to see how to use your scraps to create this amazing block, please stay tuned. I'm calling this block the wheels block because to me it kind of looks like a spinning wheel. And so the way that I made it first, I started with a drawing. And so I had, I was just sketching around in the doctor's office, and so I found, I sketched out these three. This was the one that appealed to me the most. So first we'll talk about what you need for it, and then I'll start putting it together. Since this is a scrappy block, you can use pretty much the items that are in your stash. I just wanted to make sure that I had pieces that were big enough to be cut into these large squares. For each of the blocks you need 2 large squares of color, 2 large squares of background. For each of these background squares I have drawn a diagonal line from one corner to another corner. You're also going to need 4 squares of what I call sashing. Okay, 4 sashing squares. And then I'm also going to use you also need a strip of the same fabric because we're going to measure that in a minute, so we don't know exactly how much we'll need until we measure. You're also going to need 4 variety of color squares. These are going to be your cornerstones. Alright, so you start with our 2 color squares and background squares, and we're going to start by making a pinwheel out of these. So we're going to place them right sides together with that top, the background on top so that you can see your line. Okay, we're going to put, we're going to stitch on either side of our drawn line. When you do that, it's going to look like this. I've already done some of these ahead of time. Okay, you want to double check your 1/4 inch, make sure it's good because you want it to be really even on these. So after you've stitched on either side of your drawn line, we're going to cut along that line, and you'll get something that looks like this. Okay, so each one of these I've cut on the lines. Okay, and so you'll end up with 4 half square triangle units. Okay, so you want to open these out, press toward the dark, and square them up. You basically square them up to take the little dog ears off. Alright, and I've already done that here. Okay, so you see these don't have any dog ears on them. I have just, I've pressed them toward the dark side. Let me show you that. Press toward the dark. And then you're going to lay out the pinwheel that you want. I've laid mine out this way because I want the pinwheel to spin like it's moving, to me, moving forward, so moving clockwise. So whatever you decide to do, whatever direction you use, make sure it's the same for every pinwheel. Okay, now I'm going to fold these over and stitch a 1/4 inch on the side, and then I'll put them both together. I've stitched 2 of these half square triangles together, and I want to show you quickly that if you press toward the dark, there won't be a lot of bulk here as you stitch. But I've also taken care that when I started my stitch, I started at the end. I didn't start where there was all that bulk. So when I sewed this one, I started here, and then when I sew the bottom row, I just flipped it and started here. So you can see that, and then that'll get rid of the bulk. And then when we lay it out, again press toward the dark, and I'm going to stitch these 2 rows together. When I cross it over to get ready to stitch, I hope you can see that the seams are going to nest nicely. So I'll do that, and then I'll show you how to press it. So I have both rows stitched together, and I'm going to show you how to get prepared for pressing. Let me see. Oh, first you see it, we got a nice point in there. but I want to press it so that it lays nice and flat. So here's what I'm going to do. At the top of the seam, I'm going to take my seam ripper and just look at the vertical seam here, and I'm just going to take out these stitches, okay, on both sides. Okay, and then I'll show you on this side. It's these, the horizontal stitches. I mean the vertical stitches, I'm sorry. Okay, and so I'm going to take these out and then open it, put it face down on the surface, and then I'm going to push this seam one way and then this seam the other way, and it's going to make all of these, the vertical and horizontal, they're all going to be spinning the same way. Okay, so push the top one to the right, push the bottom one to the left, and then mash it down with my fingers really good. Mush, 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 mash, mash, mash. Okay, and if you've done it right, you should see, like here, there's a little pinwheel right there in the center. And now when I press it, I'm just going to press it here and then press these seams down and then press it once from the front to make sure it's nice and flat. Then we'll see what's next. Next step for these is we're going to snowball our pinwheel block. What I've done is I've taken these 4 sashing strips and I drew a line from corner to corner on each one of these squares. Okay, then you'll place the square so that the, so that diagonal line goes across the pinwheel, and you'll stitch along this line. So that's going to snowball it, and it's going to look like this. Okay, then I fold it out and I press it so that it looks like this side. Now from this point, I'm going to just cut the underneath part off like that, and it's going to give me 2 units that are already right sides together, and I'm going to use these for leaders and enders to help with another project. And so when this is opened out, it'll look something like this. Okay, and then so that's what the final piece looks like. So I'm going to finish this one, and then after that, after I get it set, I'm going to measure it from top to bottom to see how long to cut our side pieces. So the next step I just measured down this center seam here, and that was the measurement for my side strips. So I measured here, and then these are my side strips. I went ahead and put them on, 1/4 inch seam, and pressed towards the outside strips. Now I'm going to do the same thing, measure along the center seam so that I can get a measurement for my long strips. Okay. Alright, and so I'm going to cut strips to go on either side here and here. So I have the block almost completed. There's just one last step, and that is to take these extra squares that we had, and I've already drawn lines on the back of them. You can't really see that one, but I've already drawn lines, and so I'm just going to prepare to snowball all the corners. That's just basically putting the blocks right side together with that drawn line on top, and I'm going to stitch right on that drawn line. And after this is done, the block will be completed. This is our completed block. As you can see, it is now snowballed. The pinwheel is snowballed in the center, and then the outside corners are also snowballed. I want to show you what it looks like when we lay them out together. You can see what I've done is I've varied the backgrounds here so that they are mostly different, and when I really lay out the whole thing, you'll really see hopefully a variety of different backgrounds. So if you tried this block, please use a variety of backgrounds and a variety of sashings. That's what I meant, the sashing. One cool thing about when you lay these blocks out is that because of these cornerstones at the end, because of these snowballs, you get these really cool four patches or diamonds that are going to show up as we put the pieces together. Another thing that I want to tell you is that to watch your contrast here, I used a very light pink and a white, thinking that it would be high contrast, but it's really not. So before you make your pinwheels, check and make sure that you have great contrast. If you enjoyed and learned as you watched this video about the wheels block, I'd like for you to also check out my blog. I'll put information below about where you can find it to get more information about what I'm working on and what's coming up next. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to new subscribers. I'm so glad that you're here. See you next time. Bye.